as a fan and a reader, I more feel like, how could you do this? Rebecca, that's unacceptable. Hi and welcome to my channel where I discuss the books I have read, enjoyed, and maybe what you should be reading next. And in this video, we're going to talk about this book because I really can't stop thinking or talking or reading about it. For you who doesn't know and maybe have been living under a rock like I did, this is the third book in the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros. And the first book in the series is Fourth Wing. So if you haven't heard of this, maybe you have heard of that. And it feels like I'm almost the last person on this planet to finish these books. And little did I know that I lost myself in an Empyrean rabbit hole for a couple of weeks. And now I have finished all three books. And I want to talk about especially Onyx Storm in this video. So if you haven't read any of these books, you will obviously click out of this video and come back when you have read them, because there will be major spoilers from here on. And I don't want to ruin the reading experience for you. When I read the ending of Iron Flame and he became Venin, I thought that this book was going to be really depressing. So I was really suspicious when I started to read, because I thought, how can this even turn out good? During the book, I really liked how they were trying to fight it and find solutions, and they also worked together compared to Iron Flame when they were apart a lot, when he was at the front and they were going back and forth. So even though you had this kind of stressful situation when he was going to turn evil and dark during the whole book, I still felt that they were having their love story and you can really follow them more. And I also felt like it was more hopeful the longer you read and the story went on and they were trying different things, even though he was getting worse and worse. I also really like how the friendships are developing in this book. I like that you get to see the marked ones more, and you also get to see how Violet becomes friends with them. At first I wasn't sure either how I would like that the Griffin Riders was in their squad in this book, but I think they fit in nicely, and I also enjoyed those characters as the story progressed, so that was a nice addition. I also liked that you got to see more of Brennan and Mira and their sibling relationship, even though I thought it was really sad that Mira seemed to not trust Brennan as much and maybe not trust Violet either. I thought it was fun to read more about the world and see a bit more about the islands and more when they got off the continent and get a little bit more world building in these books. I also, of course, enjoyed everything with her relationship to her dragons and Tern. And also, I thought the saddest part of all was when Andarna left to go with her dragon tribe. I cried so much at that part. I thought that was more sad than when Quinn died, even though that wasn't fun either. Then we need to talk about the ending, because how can you end a book like this with a cliffhanger? I think that's, Rebecca, that's unacceptable. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I read somewhere that she was most proud of this ending. But as a fan and a reader, I more feel like, how could you do this? Especially if you're going to have a break for at least a couple of years before we get the fourth and the fifth book. And if you are a fancy reader like me, you also have been burned before by writers who said they were going to publish a third book or a fourth book or a fifth book. Well, for example, Name of the Wind writer Rothfuss. But then a decade went on and nothing else came out. As I've understood it, Rebecca had really long working days when she wrote Onyx Storm. I read somewhere, maybe her Instagram, that she had 13 to 14-hour days, and it really took a toll on her mental health. And of course, you don't want that for her in order to get the next book. And you also don't want it to feel rushed. So I completely respect and understand that she needs time to do something else in between. But like I said, I can't believe that this book ended with a cliffhanger. And of course, there are so many theories about how this book ended and how the next one's going to turn out. And I also have a few. So the first thing I thought when I read the ending was that she got more than just Tyrndor when he said it's yours now. I interpreted that like it was his soul or something, maybe in the Emerald Ring, and that they're going to use that and work that towards to curing him from the Venin disease, or what you're supposed to call it. I also think that the strange things they got on the islands were a crucial part to this solution. Maybe they're going to use the broken compass. Maybe it's not really broken, or it's going to show her to him or something like that. Or maybe it's something with the empty glass box, because that seemed too weird and obvious not to be used in the future. I also think that the marriage and her love for him has something to do with it, and that they got married in maybe a done, how do you say it? Some say June, I've heard, or some say done. I don't know, at the June Dun Temple. And that will also be a part of the solution. As for who Satan's new brother is, I think it's set up, so you're supposed to think it's Bodhi or Garrick. And I think there must be one of his friends, because he said or thought that this person has seen him struggle for the last 5 months. So I think it needs to be someone close to him. I've seen some theories on TikTok where people think it's Eric because he went missing during the last battle, but I personally think that he went with his dragon to save the dragon eggs. So I think more that it's Garrick, because he seemed really exhausted and close to burnout by the end of this book, and I think he used up a lot of his energy and magic using his second signet and walking really fast all over the world. And he also felt kind of desperate to be able to keep helping. And didn't the book also mention something about the ground was being grey around him? So maybe that indicated that he used some of the power to try to save someone or something like that. Or maybe it could be something, I hope not, with Brennan, because the person who was supposed to be dead, I don't know if that's Nolan or something like that. I think it seems like a really sensitive subject to turn, even if they don't really speak about the writers before them. And I don't think I'm going to look up any more theories or think about this more, because I still want to have the reading experience and be surprised when I get the 4th book. But if you have any thoughts or theories, please comment them down below. In the next book, I hope Satan won't be disappeared too much and we get to see more of him and also him and Violet's relationship. I also hope that we get to see more of the 7th dragon breed and get to know more about them. I think we're probably going to get some more politics, and I read somewhere that we might get other characters' perspectives as well, and I think that's personally maybe not my favorite. I think it was fun to read some of Satan's chapters, but Rhiannon, for example, that really didn't add much to the story for me. But if she does that in an interesting way, that might be fun too. I also think we're gonna get to see more about how Violet is discovering her second signet and more about dream walking, and I think that will be really interesting. I also actually want to see more about Satan's second signet, because I felt like we just got to know about it in Iron Flame and then he was all venom in the next book. So there are so many different threads and so many different storylines that can and will develop in the next book, and I'm really excited about it, even though we have to wait for quite a long time. If you have any final thoughts, please comment them down below, and if you don't know what you should read in the meantime, maybe you should check out this book.